Pole Strong podcast with me, your host, Becky Dunn. Delighted today to introduce you to the beautiful Jade Bensilum, a former Miss Pole Dance UK silver medalist, World Pole Dance finalist and Dragonfly ambassador. Jade, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Well, first of all, how are you? How have you found the last year?
Oh. How long have we got?
I actually think it's been I think it's been great for the industry.
It's been interesting.
It has been interesting. What's your
best word?
What's your take on it? How have you found it? How have you adapted?
Do you know what? There's been many highs and lows. I think everyone's going to agree with myself as well. But learned a lot about myself and how much I can handle and what I can do. But I think it's been quite nice because everyone's you've met loads of different people in the industry that you wouldn't normally get to meet, which is amazing. Like so many people online and stuff like that, which has become available to everyone, which is amazing. So again, like some highs and some lows. Lows is, well, of course, we've been locked down. We haven't been able to see real people for so long. But no, I think, it has. It's been quite a good thing for the industry in a way as well, just because you get to train with people from all over and just get to speak to people you never normally would, which is nice.
Yeah, and that's what I think is amazing. Like over lockdown, I did a couple of classes with people internationally.
Yeah.
And like you would never, ever be able to do anything like that. And I think how everybody switched to an online platform, everybody adapted quite quickly. But yeah, I think it's, and people are still doing online classes now. You're still doing online classes, right?
Still doing online classes. They're still, again, they're up and down because people have been enjoying the sun, going back to the studio, but there's still like enough people to still run them. And some people have become a little bit addicted to them, which is nice. But it's just, they're still running. I think online probably will still be a way forward for quite a while until we know what the way of the world will be, because again, we still don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
No, this is true. This is true. But I do agree with you. I think it's here to stay.
Yeah.
I think people have got so used to their environment in terms of training at home, buying a pole, even I think the way in which people's time and how they prioritize their time has changed.
Yeah.
So, maybe if you had like a later pole class, now everybody's working from home and is at home so much more, people are finishing, and then to be able to train straight away online at your convenience, I think is super, super beneficial. But yeah, I think everybody will agree it's like been really up and down.
Yeah.
So my first question really is, how did you get into pole fitness? Like, where did it all start for you?
Probably the same as most, for a laugh.
Yes. Yeah, the same as everyone.
Yeah, where I was working at the time, I just had like an admin job and I was quite new to it. And I think it was a receptionist at the time. And she was just like, I'm going to start going to pole dancing classes. I was like, okay, have fun. She went and she's like, you should come. And I was like, no, I don't think I'll be good at that. I hated the gym, didn't do anything. And I was like, no, I just about like walked from the car to the office. I was like, no. And then one day I said, look, right, I'll come. And I was instantly hooked. I think it was that moment the next day when I went to work and I couldn't open a door properly, like the fire door. And I was like, oh, and I was just like this.
We've all been there. There.
And yeah, then I was just hooked.
So did you have a sporting background at all? Or had you ever done sports when you were younger? Did you have an interest, or was it purely for just a bit of a laugh and then you were just hooked?
A little bit of a laugh. And that was literally it. I did nothing when I was younger. I wish I did now, because I'd be so much better.
My God. Yeah. And you know what as well? You can spot the gymnasts and ballerinas. Like, you only just have to teach them one move. I was teaching a girl in hoop last week and I was like, you're a dancer, aren't you? You're a gymnast. You bitch. They're so flexible. Yeah, no, you're totally right. I totally wish I had done the same. So with that then, so you were working an admin job and you went along and you loved it. So where did you make that transition? When did you start doing this more, start teaching? What point did you realize that this is what you want to do full time? Because do you do it full time?
Yeah, now I do.
Yes. Yeah.
I went full time teaching probably the year before COVID happened. So probably not the best time to go full time teaching without a studio, but hey, here we are. But I think I I went to classes in a gym. So it was first in a gym. So it was just like every week, like once a week, here, there. And then I got a pole at home, started training a little bit at home. And then it stopped for a bit. Then I hurt myself because I was training at home, didn't know what I was doing. Had a little bit of time off, Then went back, and then I think I found a studio in Southend, Essex, that I started going to. Really nice studio. And then I went on to YouTube. I was watching people, and I was following people like Leanne Norris, Sarah Scott, these amazing people. And I was just like, oh, this is good. And I was watching them compete, and I was thinking, oh, they're doing it on a stage. And I was thinking all this stuff they're doing. I was like, that's amazing. Like, and I realized how much more pole was, and started really researching. I was like, I want to do that. So I said to my instructor at the time, I want to compete. So I did loads of research, and my first comp I did was actually pole theatre. It was the heats. It's when they had heats, and then you do the final. And that was the first comp that I did, and then luckily won the heat and went to the final. And then that transition through there, I met Dan and started training with Dan.
Yes.
And then I had a big year of pretty much competing with Dan. And then a year after that, I started teaching for him, and then it just went from there.
So did you start teaching for Dan?
Yeah.
I see. So you were quite naturally, like, you knew you wanted to compete when you saw everybody else, like you knew that was what you wanted to do. So you did the pole theatre first, and then you did Miss Pole 2018, and then World.
Yeah.
How was that? Must have been crazy to even be placed as a finalist, by the way, is insane.
It was mad, and it was, I didn't think I would, because when I got into MPD, I always wanted to do MPD, and I luckily played, and it was, I think, 1 point in it, so it was really, really close. So that I was just like, I'm happy, kill me now, I could die happy now. I was done, I was made. And then they contacted and said, oh, you can go to the Worlds because you're qualified. And I thought, okay.
Wow.
It was only over in Belfast. It's not like it was across the world. So I thought, that's not too far. It's only over the water. So I thought we'd do it. And then I think I actually ranked like 5th or something like that.
Wow.
Which I was very, very happy with myself. And I still messed a lot up on the day because I got to my head like, I shouldn't be here. I don't know why I'm here. I don't deserve to be here.
Oh, bless you.
But no, it was an experience. It was amazing. It was really good.
Yeah, I bet. And I bet it's super helpful to be able to teach others how to compete. So how did you even, because I've looked at competing before, but I get overwhelmed with where to even start.
Yeah.
Like song choice, and then theme, and then choreography, and then outfit, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is just so much.
Yeah, there's so much to it.
Yeah. So where did you even start? Like, how did you even prepare for that?
I can't even remember how I started thinking. I think the first one I did, I went with I think my theme was bullying. So I kind of went with something that was relevant to me that happened years and years ago. And I thought that's kind of relevant to pretty much everyone. So I went with that about a story. So I thought I would do that. And then I thought, actually, I found it more beneficial telling a story. I thought that kind of works for me. And then over the years, that sort of changed. And Dan would come up with all these good ideas for other stories, and we would put stuff together. And then, I think last couple didn't have a story as such, but then it kind of turned into more, I would start to find songs that I felt like I could move to differently. So rather than then telling a story, I was like, you know what, I'm going to get a piece of music that I feel a connection to, and then just move to it, and whatever happens from there happens. And sometimes a story would come out of that, which kind of worked for me. Because I have a couple of students, when they compete, they're like, oh, what do you think of this song? And I'm just like, well, if you like it and you can move to it, I'll work with whatever you want me to work with and help you. It's up to you. You've got to perform to at the end of the day, not me. And that's what
I think music is huge. Music for me, whenever I pick, even when I do little combos and routines, music is everything to me. I feel like it's the most important thing. Like, some people will video and they'll be like, oh no, it's fine, I don't really care about the music. And I'm like, how can you not dance? Like, how? But I love finding tracks and like you say, when you connect to them and then you can dance to them, I think that comes out in your style of dancing. It's definitely how I feel. I think it can help people improve as well when you dance to music that you personally enjoy, because like you say, you connect to it, you understand it.
And you can see it in people as well. You can see if they're into a piece of music or if not. Sometimes you can be like, okay, this works for you, or kind of like, have you just been given this song and told to do it, or just you couldn't think of a song and someone said do this, and you can just tell. You can really tell people connect with it, I think, and it really shows. It's very important.
Yes. Have you ever judged?
Yes.
I thought you did. What comp did you judge?
I've judged quite I've done the MPD semi-pros, the pros, BPSC, Lincolnshire Pole Championships, quite a couple. Yeah.
And how did you find judging?
Oh, I loved it.
You were there, you've been there, like you understand how nervous these guys are.
I get to the point where I can't write enough down because I get so zoned out, and people are like writing as they watch. I get like distracted watching people and smiling back at them. You know how it feels outside, and sometimes you get very serious, like doing their job very well, but very intent. And you're like, I remember just wanting someone to smile at me. So I'm just like this. And then at the end, it's like, quick, trying to write everything down. You want to give them all this information you possibly can, but you're like,
when you were performing, you were looking for like someone to smile back at you.
Someone to smile or do something.
Please.
It can be very intimidating. It can be, especially when you've got people just staring at you like this.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, you clearly smashed it, so
thank you.
Kudos. So I want to talk a little bit about flexibility, because you're very flexible. So is flexibility something that comes naturally to you, or did you have to work at it hard?
I would say a bit of both. So I'd never been able to do the splits. I had like a natural bend in my back. So once I started stretching and doing stuff for that, it come a little bit more natural. And I think I got my splits in about like 6 weeks, maybe 2 months or something like that.
So that's quite quick.
Yeah, so it's fairly quick. So it probably was like a natural bit of flexibility there, but I still had to, like when I first started stretching, I was doing it every single day, which I would not recommend. But I started off doing it pretty much every single day because I was like, I need to get flexible. I want to do all this stuff that everyone's doing on YouTube.
Yeah. Story of everyone's life. Yeah. That's all everyone asks, isn't it? Like, how do I increase my flexibility? It's like, you've got to work for it. You've got to work so hard.
Yeah. But that's still like an ongoing process even now. Like, understand,
of course it is.
Not just about stretching. It's about, you know, working your muscles, making your muscles strong at the same time, and all that stuff. I never knew. I was just like, I'll just pull my leg in and see what happens, and just
yeah. When you start to learn the muscles that need to be engaged, and and also how to properly warm up.
Yeah.
And also I find with split training, I've personally found this anyway, that everybody has their own individual style.
Yeah.
And what's important to them. Like for me, I really, really need to dynamically warm up. Yeah. And if I don't, then it did make things a little bit harder for me. So yeah, I think you know, everyone has to find their style and what works for them.
I agree.
So then I just want to circle back quickly to you then going into teaching. So at what point did you realize that you wanted to do this full time? Like when was it you were like, I don't want to work for somebody else anymore. I want to do this. You know, like how because that transition's really scary.
It is really scary. And I think I taught while still having like a full-time job for a good couple of years before I made that plunge. It was just like, no, I feel like you need to be around for a little while before you can make that, because otherwise people are not going to come to you, people are not going to be taught by you. And also you need to kind of grow as an instructor as well. You can't just be like, right, I'm going to teach, just quit your job, even though you like, I'm just going to teach beginners. And it's just, no, you need to like grow as an instructor as well. And I've learned a lot, again, just from teaching, obviously doing courses and just training myself, knowing what to do and what not to do.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And it's just an ongoing process. So I'm not, but yeah, the last time it was, I think my last job, and I think this must have been, was it 2019 or 2018 or 2019, I think, round about the MPD time, and my job was just getting really busy and I was just too stressed, and I was like, you know what, I was going to work pretty much in the car just crying, thinking I just want to go teach after, I don't want to do this. And I just thought, you know what, that's it.
Yeah. At what point, like, is that point where you think life's too short, isn't it? At what point do I do what's going to make me happy?
Yeah. And I think I was a very weird patch in my life as well at the time. Like, my mum had passed away a couple months before this, and I was like, again, you know what, life's too short, I'm going to give it a go. And at least if it goes tits up, I've tried.
and also once you can just set back into full-time work.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all part-time. Like there's always jobs going. I think that is sometimes what people need to remember. But that's really interesting. So lifestyle for you, what does your downtime look like? Because your fiance, you're getting married soon, right?
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed. When is the date?
September, but it's in Cyprus, so we're currently still amber, so we're just hoping for a green light at some point.
Amazing. Well, firstly, I want to say that I'm super jealous that it's Ollie, isn't it? Just to make sure before I say the wrong name. Who's that? I think a lot of people can relate to this, by the way. I'm super gel. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've tried to get Rob on a pole and it's just, oh, it hurts. No. Or even trying to do a little bit of acro. I'm like, please just do some acro with me. And it's like, nope, not interested. So how is that for you? That must be amazing.
Yeah, well, we actually met at MPD Semi-Pro. So we actually met.
Oh, that's so nice.
And I was competing, and we didn't really talk at the comp, but we see each other there. And then obviously after the comp, you connect everyone, you add everyone on Facebook and Instagram, say, oh yeah, so you performed, that's really good. And then we just started messaging from there and talking, and then kind of went from there really. Then he started going to Dan to get trained by Dan. And obviously then I see him all the time because I was there. And yeah, it just kind of spurred on from there really. And here we are.
And so does he teach? Is it what he does full time or?
No, he has a full-time job. So he did teach for a bit, but it wasn't his full-time job. So he did teach for a little bit and then had some time off, and then he went forward and back for a little while. And yeah, kind of since COVID, because he's been working, and we've got the X stage at home. It's obviously not tall enough for him, bless him, so he can't really do anything on it. But at the minute he's missing it because he hasn't done too much pole, and he unfortunately broke his foot last year, so he's been on and off with that as well. Yeah. But
it must be good because he must understand, because when you're teaching full time or even teaching and doing it part time, it's a lot of can be weird hours.
Yeah.
Well, not weird, but a lot of the classes are in the evenings. You're teaching on the weekends. You accommodate to your clients, so at least like he understands your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Which is great. So I think it's like the dream scenario. How are you going to do? You should do a little pole performance at the wedding. I would fully expect an Instagram, like one of the ones that go viral. It's going to be you and Ollie. That's what I'm expecting to see in September. I'll be very disappointed. Start rehearsing.
Get rehearsing. Oh God.
So yeah, your downtime, what does that look like for you? How do you block? So mainly, like for me, I block out days. So although I work sometimes on a Friday evenings for me is downtime with my husband, and Sundays are like our day too. So how does that downtime look for you? Like how often do you give yourself rest days? What, how do you rest? How do you switch off?
I can't say honestly if I ever actually switch off, no matter how much I try.
Yeah.
But because I went through a phase of I was literally teaching 7 days a week. I wouldn't train 7 days a week. I used to train pretty much a lot before COVID, and then I had a big lazy patch. I had a really, really productive patch and a lazy patch, and then it was on and off. But so training, I'll try to train just before I teach normally, like a couple of hours, whether it's at the studio or at home, or not at home anymore. And I try to now have at least Sundays for downtime. But I'm one of those who's really bad, and I get anxiety when I have messages on my phone that I haven't read.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? Like, I hate it when you and when you're away from your phone for a period of time. Like on a Saturday for me, I have back-to-back clients, and then I'm training, so I'm off my phone for about 4.5 hours, and then you come back to all these messages, and I'm like, oh, where do I even start? Like, I'm so sorry, I'm not ignoring you.
Yeah.
Exactly. It does get a lot, doesn't it? It does, and it does become a lot because you have a big following on Instagram. You're an influencer in the pole industry space. Like, do you find that can be quite overwhelming at times?
It can be at times, yeah, it can be.
It really can, can't it? And I don't think people understand how much it feels like you need to be present.
Yeah. And that's what it is. And it can get, again, you can get in your own head about it as well. It's like,
oh my God.
I haven't posted a video this week. Oh no, everyone's going to stop. Everyone's going to unfollow me. Everyone's going to think I'm rubbish. Oh no, I haven't posted a video. I haven't done this. Or, oh, I haven't posted a static combo. I haven't done spin combo. Oh no, it just gets so in your head.
I totally agree. And Rob said to me, actually, it was only the other day that Rob said to me, if you don't post for a day, no one is going to care. Like, no one will notice. You're not going to lose hundreds of followers. And I'm like, but I might.
Yeah, but what if I do?
Yeah. So I totally get that. So like with like your recovery and massage, well, as I say, I tag massage in that. Do you get regular massages? Do you look after yourself in that way? How do you look after yourself when you're injured, or how do you prevent injury happening?
Well, again, pre-COVID, I was having massages, I think, every couple of weeks.
Yes.
I haven't, since COVID, again, I haven't had one at all, just because we've also moved and stuff, and it's getting to know people in the area, and I have trust issues because the last guy that was doing the massages was really, really good, and now I'm just like, but what if I go to somewhere and they don't understand pole and they tickle me? I don't need a tickle, I need an elbow.
Yeah, I need a deep sports massage. I totally get that. Yes, I get that.
Yeah, I try to just train a little bit smarter these days. Like I don't train all day every day because my body can't handle that anymore, to be honest.
No.
And I try to mix up strength and flexibility, whereas I used to combine it all together, but that was just too much on my body. So I try to separate the strength and the flexibility from each other and have like a couple of days in between and stuff like that. So that's the best way. I just balance it by just separating a little bit more, and that kind of works for me.
And I think you've got to listen to your body as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
And how you, I exactly that. I think it's training smart.
Yeah.
Because I'm exactly the same as you. So when I teach, I have like a pocket of time, maybe like an hour before, where I actually use it to train a little bit, prep for classes, get some content. So when you're on a time schedule, you've really got to, like you say, train smart, make sure you warm up. You can't prevent, anything you can do to prevent injury and stuff like that. So I totally get that. So you mentioned strength and conditioning. What does that look like for you? So if you, how do you structure your sessions? How do you work on your strength and conditioning?
I used to actually set aside like at least half hour before I would do anything on the pole and do actual conditioning, like tucks, pikes, lifts, like power climbs and all kind of stuff like that, or just straddles, like working on my lines. But now I kind of do it, I'll do like a nice warm up. Sometimes I'll then do a little bit of flow to get me a little bit extra warmer and get my skin so it starts getting a little bit tacky. But I just now find that static combos, so I'll just start working on a static combo once I'm nice and warm. Like I'll start off with my general spins, like warm up spins and like a little combo down low. But then I'll just start working on static combos. And for me, I find they have probably helped my strength the most.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think just all the pushing and the pulling, and especially static rotations and stuff as well. I've got into those, I think, for the past year odd, and I think they make a big difference because once you understand the control and what your muscles are doing, like you're going one way and you're going the other, they have made a massive difference. But yeah, I wouldn't say I actually set aside the whole half hour and do the conditioning like I used to now, mainly because I just want to get on the pole and have some fun, but it seems to work now, so I'm like, I'll just stick with that then.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, it's finding that balance, isn't it? Because no one wants to do strength, no one wants to, not strength, but no one wants to do the conditioning.
Yeah,
but it's so important.
Yeah,
and I think
do a little bit. I'll just be like, okay, I'll do 10 tucks each side and maybe like 5 inverts each side of it, and then I'll get on with it.
I'm warm.
Yeah,
so like, do you do anything outside of the studio, or is it all studio based?
All studio based. I have started this year, well, I go on and off with doing workouts off of the pole. This year I started doing like HIIT training and a couple little workouts that Ollie put together for me outside of it, mainly just to lose a little bit of lockdown weight and just to make me feel a little bit healthier cardio wise. But I can't say I enjoy it. I just do it because I have to.
Yeah, you really do have to want to do it.
Yeah.
I feel like people put too much pressure on themselves sometimes, and then they feel like they have to go to the gym or they have to do X, Y, Z, and they don't enjoy it, and that's half the battle.
Yeah.
So what would be your advice to people that want to get stronger, that can't do what would you say to students that are looking to increase their strength? Like how do you train your students? What do you advise them?
Yeah, I think if it was a student wise, I would be getting them to do conditioning, like all my classes structure around warming up, warm up spins, and then we'll always do a section of conditioning, whether it's probably like 15 to 20 minutes, which doesn't seem like too much, but at the start of every lesson, and it helps. I wouldn't say to them, you've got to do 5 hours a week of conditioning to get strong to be able to do this, because they'd never come back.
No.
Bye, Jade.
And I think it is all about that balance as well, because I think every instructor puts in that pocket of strength and conditioning. It needs to be in there. It's so important.
Yeah, it has to be.
And also just getting your body ready for the movements, I think, with the core and stuff like that. But then you have to make it fun.
Yeah.
And you want people to come back. You want people to enjoy the lesson. So it is that fine line, isn't it, of trying to fit in a nice amount of conditioning and then making the rest
exactly
really fun for everybody. So I get that. So how much time would you say over the week you spend training yourself? How much do you definitely, like, do you block out a time that you know you're 100% going to be able to train for yourself? Or do you just fit it in as and when because you're doing it full time? And
normally I'm at the studio most Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I'll make sure I'll either do an hour or two before if there's no one else booked into the studio, I'll do that. And then the rest is kind of as and when. Sometimes I'll just do like, again, a quick little bit of content for like 20 minutes after a class if it's late and I need to get home. But I'll try to get a couple of hours in, but it varies from week to week at the moment, just because I'm all over the place. But yeah, it just really varies, like a good couple of hours. But I try, if I'm having a session, like one like good session would normally be 2 to 3 hours if I've got that time to spare. And that's normally a session I'm like, I'm done now and I feel like I've achieved. But just depending on time, sometimes I can only get half hour in, and sometimes it's an hour.
So if you know that you've got that time where you know that you're going to train for like 2-3 hours, like it is a solid session for you, do you plan that? Like, how do you, like, I'm going to be totally honest, when I go into the studio with my training time, I am heavily dependent on Instagram. I am just going through my saved, and then I'm like, okay, this will suit me today. Like, I'll watch something and I'm like, I saved it looks really hard. I don't fancy doing that today. Or like something that's really splitty and I'm like, nah.
Yeah, I think it depends on the day, because sometimes I'll be like, right, here's my plan, I'm gonna work on this move, like I'll have a certain trick, like I want to do that trick, I'll do a little bit of flexibility, and then I'll be like, okay, and then I need to recall this and lesson plan. But sometimes on the day that just goes out the pan, because I might be a little bit too sore in some areas. I might be like, actually, my hamstring's sore today, I'm not going to do that split move. So then I'll kind of get there, warm up, see how I feel, and the same as you, I'll just go to my saved and see what's there and just see what I feel is going to work for me on that day. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's good to know that other people do that, because some people, well, actually I think it depends, because I think it depends if you have goals. Do you set yourself goals, or do you?
You know what, only when I'm competing more than anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because if there's certain tricks that I want in a routine, I'll be like, right, okay, today I'm going to work on this trick or this combo or making this better. But at the minute, because nothing's really, it's just training for fun and just content and lesson planning and just keeping fit really at the moment. But yeah, when competitions start happening again, it will be structured a little bit different.
Yeah, so I take it you're planning on competing again?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so cool. So how will that look like for you then let's say you've picked your competition, you know what you're going to do. I know we touched on this anyway, but so is that where you'll start? Will you start with your music first? Will you start with your trick list? Where does it all?
I'm very much tricks first.
Tricks first.
Yeah, tricks and combos first. Well, I'll base it around, I'll get a couple of flexibility tricks that I want to throw in there. I'll do like certain specific strength moves, like whether or not I'm going to put a deadlift in this routine or a power spin with a deadlift, and I'll just decide, and then I'll start working on those first. Start getting combos together, whether it's one static and one spin, depends how long the song is, but I'll make sure I get a spin combo and get a static combo, because normally I'm still trying to find music at this point anyway, and you can make any combo work to any piece of music really. So that's how I would structure it. Sometimes I start working on competition combos at least like 5-6 months before. So it's a process, because sometimes I'll be like, I'm going to do an eagle in this comp, or I'm going to do a rainbow Marchenko. I'm like, you still can't do that yet, Jake. So it changes.
I know I want to do it. And do you know what the worst part is? When there's a move that you want to do, you can vision yourself doing it. Like you're like, I know I can do that. And then you'll go to do it and you're like, Jesus Christ, I'm so far off.
Yeah. I was talking to Ollie the other day. I was like, oh yeah, this song. I was like, and this bit, listen to this bit. That's where I'll be extending my leg in my rainbow Marchenko. And he went, but you can't do that. I was like, I know.
But when I can, this is what I'm going to do. And then, so you get your tricks down, and then how do you work on your transitions? Do you just see what works best? Do you try a few out? Do you have your favorite transitions? And also, how is it? Because I've never competed, so I'm not too sure. So you're going to have to teach me. So you've got one pole static, one pole spinning. They're 40 meter and 45?
They're normally both 45. It depends on the comp. They're normally both 45, but it depends on the comps. I think some comps will have two different, some will be the same, or some might be 42s, but generally they're 45s. I think that's quite a little bit of a standard, but they might be a little bit less sometimes. It just depends on the comp.
Yeah. So you've got so once you've got your tricks, when you're transitioning between the two, how do you work that out? Do you just go with what works best for you? Do you, you know, how do you piece that?
We all have like favorite transitions and stuff that we do quite a lot. So I'll be like, that will go in. Again, I'll go through Instagram, see what's kind of relevant. It's always good to have something I think that's quite relevant at the time as well.
Yes, what's the hot trend?
Like a hot trend, but also some old school stuff. Maybe it's a transition we've all forgot about. And then sometimes it's just playing around with it on the pole and just thinking, how can I get my leg to here, and just trying to work new stuff out as well. So it's still a little bit different, which that's why sometimes when I say 5 to 6 months, it takes a while, because I'll be like, we'll do this combo, but how can I change it and make it a little bit different? Whether or not you're doing like a leg movement that's different, or I don't know, changing a direction, or it just depends. But you still have to make it stand out in a way, so it's just not the standard stuff that you see every day as well at the same time.
Yeah, I always find that really interesting, actually, to go back over old stuff. I do that quite a lot, and it's something I've been doing a lot recently, especially because if you post quite a lot, I've gone way back to like 2018, 2017 and stuff that I haven't touched on for so long, and like transitions, and I look at it and I'm like, I'll be so much better at that now. I can make that so much cleaner, and like I feel like you revisit stuff and you're like, oh, but I can add that on, or I can, you know, So my final point for you today, I just want to finish up on diet. I really wanted to center around this, how you train, lifestyle, diet, nutrition, stuff like that. So are you quite big on your diet? What does that mean to you? Do you watch what you eat? Do you, because you're training so much, do you have sort of not carefree, but you don't have to, we know we're going to burn it off. And we're working out every day. So what does that look like for you? Do you, and even more so when it comes to comp, how do you switch your diet up?
It varies. When it's comp training, it's a little bit more strict, so I'll try and make sure I'm just eating a little bit cleaner, just for performance factors as well. At the minute, it's all over the place.
I think everyone's is.
I think I had 4 takeaways last week. But
Love it.
I'm like, well, I'm going to burn it off, so it doesn't really matter.
That's the that seems to be like my answer for everything. If I have a donut, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's absolutely fine. So in general, you don't have any sort of like, you're not really hot on it, you just sort of...
Not particularly, no. I try to be as good as I can. I try to make sure I'm having a bit of everything I'm meant to be having, like fruit, veg, like all my proteins and stuff that I'm meant to be having. But I'm not too strict on it. I probably should be. When I'm competing, I'm a lot more strict on it, and Ollie helps me as well, because he's really keen on nutrition and stuff as well, so he helps me a lot with that. But at the minute it's all over the place. But I try to drink as much water as I can, because I used to be terrible for that. Sometimes I get through a day drinking 1 cup, which is terrible. I know, so bad. And then Ollie's always in my ear, how much you drunk today? How much water you drunk today? And so I'm getting a little bit better at that. And then I notice the difference. When I drink a lot of water, I feel great.
This is and I bet you feel the difference as well when you tidy up your diet for competing. I always find the difference in the way I train and what I can do is you really notice
it's mad.
A big difference. So with your eating, like, do you make sure that you eat before you teach and train, or do you eat afterwards? Like, how is that for you? How do you balance out eating, or do you have like a set amount of time? Like, some people can't eat for like 2 hours before they work out. Some people, do you know what I mean? Like, food to me doesn't matter. I could eat an hour before I work out. I could eat sort of 15 minutes before I work out. But some people are really regimented on it. Like, do you have a...
No, again, I would probably, if I was going to the studio, depending on the time, if I was there all day, I would probably have something maybe an hour before. I take some snacks with me, but then I'd rarely eat my snacks, because when I'm going, I just keep going and I don't really stop. And then it won't be till later into the evening till I'll eat, but I'll just have like a bigger dinner. So I haven't had that many calories throughout the day, for example, I've burned, I'll be like, well, I can just have a really, really big dinner. And then that's normally how it works. I just have a big dinner and
refeed. That's how I like to pitch it. Like, I've worked out really hard today, give me all of the food. Oh, well, Jade, thank you so much for joining me. I am super excited to have you on. Like I said, I followed you for a little while. I remember you were down at our studio actually at one point, training with, I think you're training with Brandon.
So with Brandon, I remember. So
I like I said, I've been following you for a long time, so this is like super fun to have. But thank you so much for joining me, and
thank you for having me. It's fun. I like it.
Great.